On the 29th of October 1929, Wall Street collapsed. The fallout from this presented Hitler with his second chance to take power. This time, he wasn't going to get it wrong. When Hitler was released from prison, Germany had started dragging itself out of economic turmoil. The vast majority of people weren't interested in his radical nationalist views.
Everybody has forgotten about the Nazi Party. Hitler is yesterday's man. Nobody remotely thinks his idea that he'll come to power will come to fruition.
Germany's recovery was an illusion, though. Across the Atlantic, trouble was brewing. In America, speculative buying and selling of shares had rocketed. Stocks had become vastly overvalued. This bubble had to burst. And when it did, the US stock market went into freefall. It was the start of the first truly global economic crash.
Because it is the first example of this, politicians, economists are not prepared for it. They do not have the instruments to deal with it. They don't have the theories, the understanding and the knowledge to deal with it. And of course, they don't have the solutions to help get over it.
This crisis sent shockwaves around the world, and Germany was one of the countries hardest hit. As it plunged into a deep depression, there was a run on the banks, and the factories closed their gates.
6 million of the insured workers were made unemployed. When you think about it, at this time, one breadwinner and 3 or 4 children and a wife, that would affect 30 million people in Germany.
This disaster needed somebody to come up with a solution, but mainstream politicians had none. During the good times, Hitler's radical message fell on deaf ears. But now, people wanted something different. It was the perfect time to make his second play for power. To get the people behind him, he held rallies where thousands would attend. His anti-Semitism was cynically toned down to attract more of the electorate. But the underlying belief was still the same. Germany had to eradicate its inner enemies, the Jews.
Hitler seems to have been able to become normal, if you like, within the context of the social crisis that Germany was in.
In such dire times, the message began hitting home. People started listening, and they saw Hitler as the solution.
Hitler was a masterful opportunist and was able to make maximum political capital out of this crisis.
The Nazi Party started experiencing a meteoric rise in popularity. In the elections before the Wall Street crash, they only got 2.6% of the vote. But by 1932, there had been an astonishing turnaround. They had become the largest party in the country, winning more than a third of the votes cast. And in early 1933, President Hindenburg made Hitler Chancellor. The Nazi faithful held a torch parade to celebrate, but this still wasn't enough for Hitler. He wanted absolute power.